You didn't mean to stop. There was no big moment, no conscious decision, no dramatic goodbye. It just faded. One day became 1 week. 1 week became 1 month. Then a few months passed. And suddenly you realized it had been years. Years since you touched yourself. Years since you thought about it as something real, something needed, something human. You told yourself it didn't matter. That maybe that part of life had simply closed its door. Too old. Too tired. Too far behind you. But then one day, you were in the waiting room at the clinic, flipping through a magazine. There was an interview with a doctor. He spoke calmly, matter of fact. Older men who stop all sexual expression, including masturbation, often experience faster muscle loss, lower immunity, disrupted sleep, and early cognitive decline. You read that line twice, then a third time, and it hit you harder than you expected. You weren't in pain. You weren't depressed. But deep down, you knew? You hadn't felt alive in a long time. Not in your skin, not in your breath, not in the place below your thoughts where the body remembers it's still real. You thought back to the last time you reached for yourself, not because you were bored, not out of routine, but because you felt something stir. You couldn't remember when that was. And that silence felt heavier than any diagnosis. Because here's the truth no one ever told you. Masturbation isn't just about release. It's about regulation. It keeps blood flowing to vital organs. It boosts testosterone. It stimulates the nervous system and helps your brain store memory and regulate mood. Without it, your body begins to shut down slowly, in places you don't see until it's too late. Your prostate stiffens, your pelvic floor weakens, your dopamine drops, your immune system grows less alert. Not because of age, but because you stopped reminding your body that it still matters, that it's still allowed to feel, that it's still yours. You walked home from that appointment feeling something wake up inside you. Not lust, not fantasy, just awareness. A question. What else have I stopped giving myself without even realizing it? And for the first time in a long time, you didn't feel ashamed of the question. You felt curious. Your body isn't gone. It isn't broken. It isn't done. But it has been waiting. Waiting for you to remember that even now, especially now, you still deserve to feel like you exist inside your own skin. Later in the video, we'll explore what happens to the heart, brain, and hormones when self-touch disappears completely, especially after 65. You felt it even if you didn't know what to call it. A dullness. Not pain, just absence. Your legs still move. Your arms still reach. Your heart still beats. But the center of your body, it feels quiet. Like a light turned off in a room no one visits anymore. You chalked it up to age. Everyone says this is what happens. But now you're not so sure. Because you're beginning to understand your body isn't declining from time. It's declining from neglect, from disuse, from silence, from being treated like it no longer has permission to feel. Here's what the doctor explained in that article. When sexual expression stops completely, circulation to key systems begins to slow. The pelvic floor loses tone. Hormonal signals weaken. And the nervous system adapts. Not for survival, but for shutdown. And you realized that's exactly what you've been feeling. Not broken, just shut down. You used to get morning wood even in your 60s, but that faded. Now your erections feel rare, forced, or absent. You thought it was inevitable. But what if it's not? What if your body didn't stop? It just stopped getting a reason to keep going. Your prostate, your bladder, your blood vessels, your brain, they all need stimulation to stay active, healthy, regulated. And when there's no movement, no pleasure, no arousal, they begin to decay long before any disease arrives. That's the part no one talks about. Not in polite conversation, not at support groups, not even in most doctors' offices. So you sit on the edge of your bed again tonight. The lamp is on, the room is quiet, and you do something you haven't done in years. You breathe, slowly. You place your hand on your chest, then lower. Not to get it over with, not to chase a finish, just to ask your body, are you still in there? And something inside you answers, yes. Faint, but alive. This is not about lust. It's not about fantasy. It's about preservation. About waking up a system you've left in the dark for too long. And it starts with one decision: to treat your body not like something that's past its prime, but like something that still wants to live, fully, gently, and with intention. Later in the video, you'll hear what lack of sexual release does to your emotional health, and why many older men mistake this internal shutdown for depression or aging. No one would guess it by looking at you. You smile when people ask how you're doing. You joke when someone makes an old age crack. You show up. You do what's expected. But when you're alone, when the lights are low and there's no sound in the house but your own breath, you feel it. That quiet ache. Not in your back, not in your knees, in yourself. It doesn't feel like sadness, not the kind people talk about. It feels like fading. Like you've been stepping out of your own life a little more each year, and you're only now realizing just how far you've drifted. You thought it was just getting older. You blamed the fatigue, the lack of energy, the feeling of being flat for days at a time. But what if that emptiness wasn't age? What if it was disconnection? Here's what the doctor said in that same article you read. Older men who stop sexual self-expression often show a sharp drop in mood-regulating hormones like dopamine and oxytocin. And this has emotional consequences that mimic depression, even when no clinical disease is present. And suddenly it all made sense. The lack of motivation, the withdrawal from conversation, the distance between you and the person you used to be. You stopped touching your body. And slowly, you stopped touching your life. No one talks about how important it is to still feel desired. To feel like you can still desire something, even if it's just for yourself. Without it, the world loses its color, its rhythm, its taste. You eat, you sleep, you function, but you don't really feel. And that isn't aging. That's emotional atrophy. You look at your reflection tonight, not to judge, not to mourn, to reconnect. You see the lines on your face, the slope of your shoulders, the softness in your belly. And you think, this body has carried me through everything. Why did I stop honoring it? You place a hand on your chest, then lower, not to finish, but to feel, to say, I'm still here, and I still deserve to be known by my own hands. There is nothing weak about needing connection. There is nothing shameful about wanting to feel alive in your body again. And when you return to yourself, with care, with patience, with full awareness, your soul starts to rise again, quietly, but undeniably. Later in the video, we'll explore how regular self-touch supports sleep, immune strength, and even memory, and how to begin restoring that rhythm. No matter how long it's been, you thought it was too late. Too much time had passed, too many quiet years, too much distance between who you were and who you are now. But lately, something's shifted. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but gently. You feel it when you stretch your legs in the morning, when you stand at the sink and hold your own gaze in the mirror a few seconds longer than usual. You're not avoiding yourself anymore, and your body knows it. You've begun touching your skin with more attention. Not for stimulation, for recognition, a kind of checking in, the way you'd greet an old friend, or a part of yourself you thought had gone quiet forever. And slowly, that part is waking back up. Here's what most men don't realize. When you stop masturbating, your body begins to forget how to respond. Your tissues dry, your nerves dull, your hormone levels drift downward. Your blood stops circulating to areas that need movement to stay alive. But when you begin again, with respect, with slowness, with consistency, you don't just regain sensation, you rebuild function. Oxytocin rises, dopamine returns, your sleep begins to deepen, your heart relaxes more easily at night, your memory, even your balance, improves. Not because of magic, but because your body is being reminded, I still matter. I'm still needed. This is not about fantasy. It's not about performance. It's not about trying to feel young again. It's about staying alive in the body you're in. The one that's still here, still capable of sensation, still worthy of care. You light a candle this evening. Not for anyone else. For you. You let the room be quiet. You breathe deeply. You don't rush. You don't chase. You explore. With patience, with reverence. And afterward, you don't just feel satisfied. You feel present. Like your body and your spirit are in the same room again. For the first time in years. You don't need to do what you did at 30. You don't need to match anyone else's timeline. You only need to remember that this part of your life doesn't have to end. It just has to be reimagined. With softness, with wisdom, with gratitude for the body that's still willing to feel, if only you'll meet it there. Later in the video, you'll learn how to keep this practice safe, consistent, and emotionally balanced so that it strengthens your body without straining it. It's quiet again tonight, but it doesn't feel empty, not like before. Now the stillness feels steady, like something has returned, not in noise, not in fireworks, in presence. You're here, fully, in your skin, in your breath, in the rhythm of your own body. And for the first time in a long time, you're not waiting for someone else to make you feel alive. You've remembered how to do it yourself. You didn't need pills, or a partner, or approval. You needed permission to come back to your body, to treat it with curiosity, not criticism, to touch it like it still matters, because it does. And now, you understand something no one ever taught you growing up. Pleasure is not a young man's game. It's a human one. And it doesn't expire. It changes. It deepens. It slows down. But it never leaves you, unless you leave it first. The real danger of not masturbating in old age wasn't the lack of climax. It was the lack of connection. The way your nervous system dulled. The way your hormones faded. The way you stopped feeling like a man with needs and breath and pulse. But now, you've taken that back. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to rush. You don't even need to fix what's changed. You just need to continue with care, with balance, with a quiet kind of pride. Because you are not past your prime. You are living a new one. And this version of you, it's not a faded echo. It's the full, present sound of a man who is still in touch with himself. You're not done feeling. And you never were. You're not beyond intimacy. You're not invisible. You're not too late. You are here, now, with every right to know your body again and to be known by it. And in that knowing, you rediscover the truth. You were never meant to give this part of yourself up. You were only meant to come back to it with more reverence than you had the first time. If this story opened something inside you, if it helped you feel less alone, less ashamed, or more alive, then take a breath, and please, subscribe. Because here, we tell the stories that no one else dares to say. And we remind you, you're still whole, still worthy, still wonderfully human.